Hello and welcome to the session Advancing Digital Sovereignty as part of Google Cloud Next 2021. Great to have you and thanks for joining. My name is Wieland Holfelder. I'm an engineering VP and site lead for the Google Engineering Center in Munich, Germany. For many reasons, digital sovereignty has been getting more and more attention recently. The regulatory environment relating to the cloud is very dynamic, and we see the overall trend in the direction of European and also global, for that matter, strategic autonomy and digital sovereignty. This includes greater European control over cloud data and software, and we see this trend in member states at the EU level and in European public-private partnerships like the GAIAX project. At Google Cloud, we are committed to making sure our products and services provide what our customers need. Let me start with outlining our mission at Google Cloud. We aim to accelerate every organization's ability to digitally transform through data-powered innovation with the most secure infrastructure, open platforms, industry solutions, and expertise. And we do that by offering the most secure infrastructure as a service, an open digital transformation platform, and industry-specific digital transformation solutions. To work successfully with organizations, both public and private, one thing is very clear. We must deliver services on their terms, aligned to their priorities and values. We want to deliver solutions that meet these demands, meet customers where they are, while at the same time seeking to avoid issues of fragmentation and disruption to existing infrastructure. For example, the development of railways in the 19th century drove tremendous industrial progress and growth. However, the creation of different rail sizing standards in each country or region led to breaker gauge issues when trains reached national borders, adding delays, inconvenience, and cost. The illustration here adds a bit of levity to our discussion, depicting the horrors of goods transfers at the breaker gauge at Gloucester in England in 1843. The issues that were faced then were serious, and we want to make sure we learn from it and don't repeat it. The decisions that organizations and governments make today will have implications that reach far into the future, so they must be thoughtfully and carefully considered. For example, how can we ensure local sovereignty without allowing digital fragmentation? How can we avoid recreating break-of-gauge type issues in the digital world? And how can we ensure that short-term pressure does not lead to undesirable long-term implications? Infrastructure decisions typically have very long-term implications because making fundamental changes is always very disruptive and costly. To meet the growing customer requirements for sovereignty and to ease adoption of these capabilities, we need to build them directly into the cloud infrastructure that enables digital transformation. Security is a fundamental part of this, and Google Cloud offers a strong foundation that includes consistent controls throughout the cloud, transparency into our controls and emerging capabilities to exercise true sovereign control over data and operations, a zero-trust architecture to protect data against threats, and an operating model where we take an active stake in customers' security outcomes. Now, when we hear the need for digital sovereignty from our customers, it is often unclear what exactly digital sovereignty actually means to them. At Google Cloud, we therefore have broken it down into three very clear pillars. Data sovereignty, which means customers have full control over their data, including storing and managing encryption keys outside the cloud, providing an extra layer of control over your data to our agile, scalable, and innovative public cloud capabilities. Operational sovereignty, which means giving customers direct visibility and control over cloud operations. And last but not least, there's software sovereignty. This is often also referred to as survivability and means the protection against unforeseen catastrophic events. We believe that software sovereignty and survivability can only be accomplished with a modern open cloud approach based on open source solutions. This is why Google has committed very strongly to an open cloud, and we have based many of our core cloud services for computing and data management on open source solutions. Now let's look at data sovereignty in a bit more detail and how Google Cloud can help today with data sovereignty requirements. First of all, it is important to reiterate that in Google Cloud, our customers' data is our customers' data, and we never sell it or use it for advertising or training AI models or for other uses not requested by our customers. This is often not understood, but we take this very, very seriously and make strong contractual commitments to this end. Google Cloud provides customers with the ability to decide where they want to store their data. We ensure that it stays in that location, and we also ensure that their data is encrypted at rest and in transit. We also provide controls to limit data access for users, for administrators, and also for cloud provider administrators. These are capabilities that are all available in Google Cloud today, used by many customers to meet their policy and compliance objectives. Furthermore, customer controls provided by Google Cloud include storing and managing encryption keys outside the cloud, giving customers the power to only grant access to these keys based on detailed access justifications. Taken together, these two capabilities make customers the ultimate arbiter of access to their data. Customers have the ability to deny Google administrators access to their data for any reason, even in situations typically exempted from customer control, such as outages or responses to third-party data requests. We do this by providing customers a clear reason why access to keys are needed and why data is being decrypted, which they can then use to programmatically decide whether to permit access to the key to allow decryption and thus to allow access to their data. We even give customers the ability to protect data in use while it is being processed through enterprise-ready confidential computing, a technology we are pioneering. Using confidential computing, encryption keys are generated in hardware, are not exportable, and not accessible to Google. Finally, know that our security and privacy practices are continually validated against international standards, and the results of these audits and certifications are available for you to review. We make sovereign controls to help meet data sovereignty requirements available through assured workloads. It helps automate the deployment and enforcement of platform capabilities for data residency in the European cloud, cryptographic control over data access, including customer-controlled encryption keys, and customer support provided by personnel in European office locations. All this is on a per-workload basis, ensuring that these technical and operational controls for data sovereignty are always properly configured and enforced. Because these controls are enforced on existing Google Cloud infrastructure, customers don't have to choose between achieving data sovereignty objectives and using the latest cloud technology and offerings. This on-fabric approach is unique to Google Cloud and opens up options for trusted partners to deliver additional levels of sovereignty on top of this foundation. Now let's look at operational sovereignty a bit more. Operational sovereignty gives our customers visibility and control over Google's operations, and we provide transparency, inspectability, and security operating in a zero-trust model. As I noted, customers can view and control decryption operations and access to data or configurations by Google admins. They can also view our security configurations and monitor changes to our infrastructure and our hardware. We give our customers auditability with consolidated tamper-evident cloud audit logs, and we provide the ability to deny unauthorized access. In selected regions, we also can provide local support and local administration. But we recognize that there will be customers who have additional operational sovereignty needs, focused on the independent operation and verification of these controls on their behalf. Trusted partners can help meet these more stringent requirements. So let's explore this option in a little bit more detail. Customers want access to best-in-class cloud services and capabilities, but they may be more comfortable working with a trusted local partner. We want to enable this operating model so they can get both. So when we say we can provide third-party administration and operations, we mean that we have the option to deliver Google Cloud services via a trusted local partner to our customers. This includes the ability for the trusted local partner to manage all the sovereignty controls I previously highlighted, but also value-added services such as oversight, independent audits, external key management to separate the key holder and data holder, and others. We think a model like this will be of particular interest to organizations in highly regulated industries and the public sector. In such a model, Google Cloud will continue to provide the technical platform, both hardware and software, which is the public Google Cloud platform. A trusted partner can operate and offer a sovereign cloud built on this foundation, upon which they will manage a set of sovereignty controls and measures, including encryption, and provide a set of guarantees around the operations of these controls. Customers will be able to choose whether they want to use the public cloud and operate sovereign controls themselves and place trust in Google, or whether they would prefer to use a trusted partner's sovereign cloud, where the partner operates the sovereignty controls and provides guarantees. We're now delivering on this vision collaboratively with trusted local technology providers in Europe. We started with T-Systems in Germany and recently announced our partnership with Thales in France. Together with our partners, we built a sovereign cloud offering for private and public sector organizations specific to each of these markets. And in these new joint offerings, our trusted partners, T-Systems and Thales, will manage sovereignty controls and measures, including encryption and identity management of the Google Cloud platform. In addition, as part of their offerings, T-Systems and Thales will operate and independently control key parts of the Google Cloud infrastructure for their customers in Germany and France. These two partnerships are just the beginning, and we will continue partnering with trusted technology providers in selected markets across the region. Now, our last pillar is what we call software sovereignty. It speaks to two related but separate requirements we have. One is the ability to avoid vendor lock-in, which shares some similarities with the requirements for data portability articulated in the GDPR. Organizations want the flexibility to be able to move workloads from one provider or one set of infrastructure to another. The use of proprietary technology makes this very difficult. Another is the ability to achieve continuity of operations without reliance on the provider for a period of time or even permanently, either by choice or as a result of a disaster or other material event. Our strong belief is that software sovereignty and survivability can really only be accomplished with a modern open cloud approach based on open source solutions. Google Cloud is very committed to this approach. We provide platforms that allow customers to manage workloads across providers and orchestration tooling that allows customers to create a single API that can be backed by applications running on different providers, including proprietary cloud-based and open source alternatives. Open source has another sovereignty benefit that also needs to be considered: the portability and transferability of skills. Choosing and using clouds based on an open source foundation rather than proprietary tooling makes sure that the skills you build and invest in for your employees can be independent of the cloud provider you choose. To help address the most demanding operational and software sovereignty requirements, we have announced here at Next a new offering we call Google Distributed Cloud. Google Distributed Cloud is a set of fully managed integrated hardware and software solutions that can extend Google Cloud's infrastructure and services to customer data centers and other locations. It is enabled by Anthos. Google Distributed Cloud operates in hosted mode to run sensitive workloads in a customer data center or co-location facility, and hosted mode does not require connectivity to Google Cloud at any time to manage infrastructure, services, APIs, or tooling, and uses a local control plane for operations. Now, to summarize, Google Cloud's sovereign solutions, here is an overview. Many of the capabilities that customers have asked for do not necessarily require the full set of sovereignty controls, the ones that are truly outside of the cloud provider's control. But if you need them, we have them. So what is important here is that we provide our customers a full spectrum of flexible sovereignty solutions, including built-in platform controls that you manage, partner options for greater operational sovereignty, like our partnership with T-Systems and Thales, and distributed cloud options for greater operational and software sovereignty. This flexibility means that our customers can decide how to trade cost and complexity for a higher degree of sovereignty. Our goal is to build sovereignty into our platform rather than building walls around it. We believe this is a more flexible, scalable, future-proof implementation of sovereignty that ultimately avoids the digital version of the break of gauge, just to come back to that earlier example. Before we close, let me say a few words about a sovereign cloud project that we also deeply care about and that I'm sure most of you are familiar with, GAIAX. Google Cloud is a day one member of GAIAX, which describes itself as a secure federated system that meets the highest standards of digital sovereignty while promoting innovation. In practice, GAIAX intends to give companies a means to understand, control, and benefit from their data. Open source and open systems play a leading role in the operational basis for digital sovereignty, and we're committed to using open standards to make sure that engineers in Europe and elsewhere have the best, most widely applicable tools and training. Europe has a long, positive, proactive force in fostering a healthy digital future. Before GAIAX, there was the General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, a European law on data protection and privacy that has gone on to be a legislative model for many parts of the world. I believe GAIAX has a very similar opportunity. To conclude, Google Cloud is committed to openness, security, trust, and transparency to provide our customers the most flexible sovereignty solutions on their terms. Our cloud-native capabilities enable control over data location, access, and encryption. Sovereignty is provided across a spectrum of data, operational, and software sovereignty. Our approach with strong local partnerships and a distributed cloud option will enable us to be responsive to future government and customer sovereignty requirements. And our commitment to open cloud and open source is truly differentiating and not only avoids vendor lock-in, but also makes sure that the skills you build and invest in for your employees can be independent of the cloud provider you choose. More than anything, what all these processes are about comes down to one thing. Technology is not an impersonal force of nature. It is the product of human values, aspirations, and hard work. How these things work out is up to us, as individuals and societies. And that often begins at the very start of how we think about deploying new technologies. I hope you take away from this session that we at Google Cloud deeply care about sovereignty and are committed to provide you a transformation cloud on your terms. To learn more, you can see our Google Cloud webpage on digital sovereignty and watch the live demo on the new Google Distributed Cloud technology here at Next, and see many of other sessions in our security products and security tracks. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the summit.